Hey everyone, welcome to the Creator Show. This is your host, Ruben, and I am super excited to bring on a special guest today. As you guys know, our podcasts are always filled with lots of tactical stuff on how to build the business of your dreams, but we also dive into a lot of other areas, whether it's mindset, spirituality, lifestyle, relationships, because you guys know, when you want to be a creator of your life, oftentimes you'll hear people say like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And although that might not necessarily be 100% true, it's a very blanket statement kind of statement, it often is telling. And so I'm very excited for Kandice to be on here today. So Kandice, give like the 1 to 2 minute introduction of like who you are, what you do, and then we're going to dive into some fun stuff today and go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on here. I'm super excited. So my name is Kandice. I am an online entrepreneur, but when I started my journey, I was actually 19. And
wow.
I had finished college, and I had always known, all throughout high school, going into college, I wanted to be self-employed.
Right.
I had this like crazy vision for myself. I didn't know what it meant to get there. I just knew like, that's where I want to be, right? So I kind of just, intuitively enrolled into hairstyling and small business in college.
Yeah.
And went through that. I got my salon job. I finished my apprenticeship, and I was miserable.
Oh dear.
Right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, now what? Like, this isn't what it was supposed to feel like, right? Which I feel like so many of us can relate to.
Right.
And it was kind of like an all or nothing moment where I just said, screw it. And I opened up my own salon. And I kind of just jumped into it. So I was 19, almost 20. My entire family thought I was crazy. Right? Crazy.
Totally.
In 4 months, 4 times my income. I maxed out the ability of clients. And I kind of just kept running with it. So I did that for 7 years. In that meantime, I had also had my firstborn. So I had become a mom, started navigating that. And as life kind of just was happening, I had endured a shoulder injury, and I could no longer do hair.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like oh my goodness, like, this has been an amazing business. Like, it's so lucrative. I had finally gotten it to this place where I was making incredible income that I didn't even know was possible. I felt so confident in it, and now it was like giving that away. So I kind of just came into the online space. I had been certified in nutrition advisory and mindfulness. And I kind of took this time, like my healing journey and all of that, to kind of just see it as this brand new opportunity, right? To kind of let go of everything I had held on to and grown so tightly, right? And to really just embrace this new journey and to look at this like, I've done this once, I can do this again, right? Right? I can learn. I love learning. Like, let's do this. And I kind of just didn't look back. So since then, I have been an online entrepreneur. We now have 2 kids at home. So I am my balancing mama. Just a lover of life, honestly.
Oh, perfect. I love that. And we're going to dive into a couple of these things, but I think it's so cool that you've done kind of like the brick and mortar, you've done the online, and it seems like whatever you do, you just go full at it, which is great. So I want to dive into the piece of where you decided you were going to open up your own salon, because I mean, that's a big move, especially for someone at that age, to be like, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to do it. And I want to dive in on a couple different pieces. I want to dive in on like basically how you thought through risk at that point, because a lot of people are scared of risk. A lot of entrepreneurs, they're like scared to make those moves. Some people are just crazy and they just go after them. But I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about how you handled family, because that's something that comes up a lot for entrepreneurs, is the family doesn't quite get it. And so let's start with why did you risk it? Was it just like, you know what, I don't have much to lose, I'm going to go for it? Let's talk through that a bit.
Honestly, well, I am that crazy person that you just described. For me, honestly, it was like, I knew, like in my soul, I knew I was meant for more. I knew at a very young age, probably like grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, I was telling my mom, like, one day I'm going to have a salon. And she's probably like, okay, little Kandice.
Right.
Okay, right? And I took this sign, like, and I mean, I would be crying on my drive home from work. Like, I was miserable.
Right. Wow.
I was drained. I was exhausted. I didn't feel like I was getting wasn't really building the life that I wanted, right? Creating
Mm-hmm.
that life, like you just said. So, my boyfriend, who we are now still together 10 years later, but I remember coming home and being like, we need to get our own place. We still didn't have our own place. I was like, and I'm turning the basement into a salon. And
Right.
like, okay.
Wow. I
like,
love that.
The rest was kind of history. I would say with the fear thing, I do feel fear. It's not that I don't feel fear, but like my dreams are always so much bigger than the fear I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that is what has pushed me through every single decision, you know, like I've had multiple times too, where I could have easily just said, okay, never mind. Like,
right.
But I think letting the motivation take me and letting the dream take me is what got me there so quickly. Right?
Yeah. No, totally.
So yeah, like it was obviously huge and scary. In the first month, I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope we can pay our bills.
Totally. No, that makes sense. And the one thing I wanted to kind of dive in a bit deeper here is like, I feel like for myself, when I kind of describe how I grew up, I always felt like there was like, whether it was a dream or whether it was like, I just had something inside. I was like, I needed to do something bigger than what I was kind of being told was the norm. Do you feel like that's how you felt it too? Or was it more like you had like, what was the dream per se? Was it just to have a business? Like, is that the dream, or what was the dream that drove you to go past the fear?
That's actually I have never sat with that. I think like when I think about it as a whole and how I felt growing up and just that intuition that kept coming back.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's the fact that I wanted to create what I wanted. I wanted to create that business. I wanted to create that schedule. I wanted to be, I guess, in control of that. I didn't want somebody saying, okay, these are the hours you're working and this is how little you're getting paid. And right? Like, for sure.
No, that's pretty, that makes sense. I mean, that's why a lot of entrepreneurs, they're always like, I can't work for somebody. And I think it doesn't stem from them being like insubordinate naturally. I think it stems from them wanting to be in a creator role where they're designing something, where they're building something that's their own. It doesn't mean that that they're like mean people and they can't get along with people. No, we can get along with people just fine. But it's just, we had like the dream was just that we would create the life we wanted, probably. Would you say is that a good way to sum it up, or would you say it differently?
No, I agree. I'm very, very people oriented. Like I could talk to the fly that's sitting on the wall, right? Like I love human beings. I love connection so much. And I think that's probably why my business did thrive the way it did. But I guess, it was the fact that I wanted to create my life. Yeah. I think you said it perfectly.
No, I love that. So let's dive in on the family piece, because I know for myself and tons of our listeners, and even tons of our clients that we work with, the family doesn't understand it. And I think I've made a post before about this, because I think the family is always thinking that this is risky because it's like a job, but it's riskier. When they don't understand that most entrepreneurs, it's like a mission. It's what they were created to do. So they don't understand the difference between a job and a mission. And that's why they usually don't understand it. But talk to me a little bit about how you handle it. Do you think you handled it well? Do you think I didn't handle it well? Talk through that, because I think I want people who are in that exact situation right now to maybe, whether it's learn from your mistakes or maybe it's learn on how you did it well, whichever way it went.
Right. I mean, I was young, right? Like I was a freaking baby. When I think about it, my family did handle it pretty well. My dad, he had retired from his job and entered his entrepreneurial little world and created a $1 million business for himself. And meanwhile, I'm like watching this, right? I think I was like 18 and he handed me this book, and my parents are separated, right? So I remember being there for dinner and he handed me this book, and it's called Think and Grow Rich. And it was like the original copy. And I was like, okay.
Oh, no way.
And I dug into it and I'm like, okay, like here's my dad, 55 years old, building this, and I'm watching it just soar, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I can do this from my basement. Like there's no reason not, right? And my mom, she was supportive, cautious, right? Like, are you sure? You think about if this happens. I'm like, yep, nope, we're good, Mom. I got it.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It's people that have never been an entrepreneur, or maybe even never felt that desire, right? And that's what you have to, I was just very aware of that. Like, she doesn't quite understand where I'm coming from or the motivation behind to get that.
For
right?
sure.
As an entrepreneur, and if you feel that burn, then you know you can make it happen.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. No, that's exactly why I described it as like, more often than not, they just simply don't understand that it's not like you want to build a business because like you're going to get paid the same amount and it's going to be more risk. Like it's not like they're cautious because they don't understand whether it's what you were created for or whatever it is. And so sometimes it's like, there's a lot of people who will be like push back and be like really mad at people who don't understand. I think it's good just to understand that they simply don't get it, and that's okay. And like you can create boundaries or things like, hey, don't say that, because that's like, maybe if they're always cautious, they're always concerned, you can let them know like, hey, you can stop being that way because that doesn't help me. Actually, rather be supportive, even if you feel a little bit concerned, right? So no, I think that's a really, really important piece. And no, I think it's cool that you looked up to your dad in a sense and wanted to do something that's actually, I know for my wife, Terry, that's very similar. Her dad had built a really big business and always kind of wanted to do something or like create something. So I think it's cool when parents can be like that.
I think you can sit there, I guess, and this is a conversation I've had with so many clients, probably you too, right? It's like, you can sit there and let it get the best of you, but at the same time, like, you're not getting any closer to that life that you want, right? And just because they may not understand and they may say things that they probably don't even mean, it's just that they might be saying it out of fear for you because of love.
Yeah.
You just simply ask them to respect your decision, right? And
exactly
move forward with it. Like, life is so short. That's my big thing, is like, it's
okay.
Gotta live.
Yeah, no, you got it. No, exactly. Don't stay stuck. So let's dive into your transition from in-person business to online. What were some some key things that you really learned in that time that maybe you're like, oh, I didn't know that about the online, or maybe this is easier, this is harder. What was that transition like, and what were some takeaways from the transition?
A lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So here I was, like, this huge people person, talking to people every day, right? So even sometimes, if I did allow a new client to come in, I was very specific in my niche with the salon. So it was more of those like higher paying clients, extension services, those types of things. So sometimes I would have like a new face, but when it came to coming online, and I remember my first business coach, and she's like, you've got to go on your story. And I was like, what? But that's uncomfortable. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, here's that uncomfortable thing. I have to like grow right through it again.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I'm sure everybody's had that moment, right, where they're like, okay, I'm going to find a different way. I can totally do this without going on stories, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it really is, it's necessary. So I feel like that, like, really getting comfortable with this new way of showing up in the online space, opposed to the in-person space, that was a growing phase. I tell my clients now, like, when they're like, but I'm so nervous or I'm so uncomfortable, I'm like, in like the matter of 3 days, you're going to be thinking nothing about it. Like,
totally.
It's not even easy, right? The other thing, I guess, would be, just being okay with putting myself out there on the interweb.
Right.
Right? Put yourself out there and position yourself for the eyes that you want to see. Mm-hmm. And then I like grew through so many things. I would probably be
right. No, I love that. I love that. Let's dive deep on the one that you kind of mentioned at the forefront. And I talk about it all the time, which is like visibility. I always say equates to profitability. That's kind of a little saying that I have. And it's interesting because and out there, Instagram stories, prime example, great way where you can do it. The important thing to remember as an online business is it doesn't matter necessarily where you're visible. It's just that you have X amount of visibility per day. That's what we talk about it. So I'll give a couple examples that'll be tactical for the listeners here, or if you're watching this on YouTube. But basically, so there's some people that I work with who like they have really big Instagram accounts. And so their Instagram stories are getting thousands of views, or Instagram feed, they're getting thousands of likes. And right then, great, you're hitting thousands of people per day through content that you post, people watch. Fabulous. Now, there's someone who has a smaller following. How does that person get the same amount of visibility in with having a small following? Because they can't hit the same amount in stories or in their feed. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't post on there. You can still get some of yours per day, but let's say by posting on their feed and stories, you're only getting 200 people seeing your stuff, but you want to get up to 500. So how do we make up that visibility? So you have to utilize different tactics to get in front of people's eyes. So I'll share with you a couple of different case studies I did on my own business. So there was this 1 month where I chose 100 ideal clients. And what I was going to do is every single day, I was going to simply like one of their posts and comment on one of their posts. I did that for a month. And these people, because they saw my stuff coming up every single day, they started to interact with my content. They started to message me, ask me about my services, etc. It wasn't because they actually saw my content on the forefront. It's just because my little profile at the bottom of Facebook, there was a little red 1. And when they clicked on it, my face was there. I was visible to them, maybe not in the way of like on a story, but I was still visible to them, right? And so visibility overall, right? It's an overall thing of whether it's you're engaging with their stuff, whether you're having conversations with them, whether it's you're showing up on their Instagram feed, whatever it is, the more visibility, the better. And of course, we can always talk about targeted, and quality is always better. And so, I mean, yeah, we always talk about how in this podcast, anyway, it's always like quality first, and then we get consistent with it. And then we go move it up to quantity. So quality, consistency, quantity. And then, I mean, if you want to go to the next step, then it's delegation and automation. And so anyways, curious your take on that. I just spewed a lot there, but curious your take on that.
No, I love it. I love it. No, I agree. I think that that's the only way to really grow, right? And I mean, like you said, you could definitely go over to the targeted side and get into that subject, but you have to be getting yourself out there, right? Whether that does mean getting uncomfortable on stories, or if you're past that, making sure that you are being that people person. Get out there, get to know these people, get in their DMs. Like for me personally, I guess, so when I started in the online space, the biggest thing was like, I need to get to know these people.
Yeah.
Right? Like I need to literally know them. I want to know their struggles. I want to know what they're going through, where they've been. I want to know where they want to go. Like I want to get to know them. And that involves starting that conversation, right?
Exactly.
Moving that conversation forward and consistently doing those actions too, right? Like you can't forget about that. But I guess Yeah,
more perfect. No, I love it. So basically one of the things I wanted to dive in today is because there's oftentimes I get questions actually, and I want you to share your honest opinion on it. Doesn't really, you don't have to share an opinion that's the same to me. I always tell my guests, don't just share an opinion because it's something that I believe in. I always want to know the difference between, not the difference, the balance between high quality branding and aesthetics versus maybe more of like the manual work of going and finding people, conversation, etc. Because this is a topic I get a lot. Some people, they swing one way hardcore. Some people swing the other way of like, some people are more like, I want to attract clients. Some other people are more, I want to hunt clients, which I don't like that terminology, but curious your thoughts on that because simply curious.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think that, like you said, it's something that comes up quite often, right? Or it might have to be like, even sometimes it's a mindset conversation. Like, are you over editing and over focusing on your photos because you're scared to do that other work, right? And it can sound tedious, it can seem daunting, but to me, so my personal opinion is that is necessary to like do that background behind the scenes work.
Yeah.
Post a decent photo, have the high quality caption, like give these people what they want, like what they want, right? Not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear.
For sure.
Why they're following you. Like they're following you for a reason. They have now sent that invitation for your information by following you, right?
Yeah.
I look at it like that, like, okay, like edit the photo or make it look a little brighter, appealing maybe, but worry about the caption, and then worry about getting to know them.
Yeah. No,
For me,
I love that.
Like my content comes from the conversations I'm having in my DMs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And like,
totally. It should.
There's no easier way to get content. That's my big thing. It's like, I want to write captions, but I don't know what to write about. I'm like, well, are you having conversations? Right?
Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. And I think I made a post about that the other day, is like, you need to understand that you shouldn't write the content that you think people want. You should always write the content that your ideal truly wants.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when people are asking, like, how do I come up with more ideas for content? I'll always just say conversations.
Yeah.
When you're chatting with people, that's where you're going to find the real true stuff. That's why you should do polls. I mean, probably once a week I do a poll in my free Facebook group, just asking a different question, because I'm always just trying to figure out, okay, is there anything else that I can create that would be new and more relevant for people? I mean, with the COVID-19 situation going on, I have asked relevant questions to that and businesses to see if there's anything I can do to support them in this time. So that's one really good way, conversations. The second thing that I think is really important, and I want your take on this, is learning that your ideal client's pain points most of the time don't change. And a lot of people, they're always like, I just can't come up with more ideas for content. And then I'll let them know, and I'll be like, did you know that I like reuse a lot of my content? Like every 3 to 6 months, I will start to reuse a lot of old content, maybe update it a little bit, because it's actually, I mean, there's a study done that if someone sees a piece of content that they've already seen in the past and they liked and agreed with, they're more likely to interact with it the second time than they were the first time. Which is fascinating, actually, because people like to interact with stuff that they agree with and that they like, or that they strongly disagree with. But anyways, I wanted your take on that as well.
On repurposing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that you have to almost. Like, I'm not saying every week put out the same post Monday through Friday, right? But like you said, every few months, go through, see what your audience likes too. Like, don't be scared to really investigate your own Instagram. Like, what got the most likes? What did people comment about? What got people fired up? What hit home? What did they need to hear that week? For me, and then I also if you made a caption and it's pretty bomb, you should be also using it as an email down the road, or as a Facebook post or whatever, right? Like, you should be giving value in all of your posts. So therefore, why not reuse that? Like,
I love that.
Don't spin your wheels and not do anything, right?
That was a great tip. The tip that you said, look at your insights, actually. This is something that I literally just did the other day. I just went and looked at which 5 posts on Instagram got the highest likes in 2019. I grabbed those, I flipped them over to Facebook, and they performed very, very well, right? And so again, guys, if you're listening and you haven't looked at your insights or you don't know where they are, go figure out where your Instagram insights are. Figure out, like what Kandice said, which got the most what got the most profile visit, what got the most website clicks. Because then you actually know what content of yours actually converts best. And so that's something to just be mindful of, right? I think a lot of people, they're always like, I have to create more new, better. And it's like, no, you can, yes, create more and new and better, but you don't always have to be going at 100% capacity. You can sometimes reuse content. You can look at old content. You can have conversations that lead to ideas, and you don't always have to be in this, I always have to be in a creative space. So I think that's a really good point. A lot of people just don't even look at their old content. They forget about it.
Yeah, I know. And I think some of it's, I think, ego, they don't want to go back and see how many likes or whatever. But that is, at the end of the day, likes don't make or break a post. It's just valuable information from a business perspective, right?
Yeah.
Spending time on this content. So for me personally, I like to batch my content, but that being said, it's not always new. I'm not burning myself out to create this content. I have a huge Google Doc sheet of pain points, things that have come up in conversations. And if you look at a couple pain points, you can probably attack it from a couple different angles, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe a few different tips per post, or there's other ways to do it too, right? Without having to spin your wheels or overthink it. Because I think a lot of us do that. We'll sit there and overthink it, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a really good point, because what you just told, actually, and this is something when people want ideas for repurposing, is you can look at an old post, and what you can do is you can break it up into 2 to 3 different posts.
Yep.
So let's say I make a post about content creation, and I'm saying, hey, here are a couple key tips for content creation. You want to be creating these different types of posts in a given week. You want to be understanding how to repurpose content. You want to be da-da-da-da-da, giving basically like a massive overlook of this is what content is. Well, you can take that post, and if I listed 4 different types of content that you should be posting on a given week, I can literally go and write in a single post on all of these and why they're important, right? So I can take a post, I can extrapolate it. I mean, this is what a lot of people do. What they'll do is like the big influencers, they'll create a long video, and what they'll do is they'll post a long video, YouTube, podcast. They'll create some shorter clips, which they'll post on IGTV, social medias, and then they'll also have people write captions off of those videos for long posts, for short quotes, etc., for email, for whatever it is. And that's how people do it, where they can create basically probably 30, 40 pieces of content off of one video. And so now don't go crazy like that at the beginning of your business. That's like I'm not even doing that yet. We'll probably actually do that end of this year, but we're not doing that yet. Like just start with just the simple things of like repurposing, just so, because then you don't have to get stuck in a rut and be like, oh, I didn't post in the last 2 weeks because I didn't know what to post. It would have been way better for you to literally just copy and paste past captions than to not post at all.
Literally. I think too, like, so I know a lot of my clients in the early stages will be like, well, because I'm like, you got it. Yeah, be showing up, right? A post, stories, whatever. Well, what do I show up on stories about? I'm like, what if you just elaborate on that post that you made today? Or
yeah.
Stop overthinking it and just ask, like, how can I be tactical, provide a value, right, while showing up? Right?
Yeah, I love it. No,
yeah.
I love it. So I wanted to, one of the things, and I asked you before this recording went live, is I wanted to announce to everyone also that you are now officially a team member of CCI. And I'm super excited about that. You're going to be so helpful for the clients that are going to be coming in and just getting so much value from you. You have so much different experiences. It's going to be great. So talk on that a bit. Maybe just say how, I was going to say how you're so excited. I'm not forcing you to say that you're excited, but just talk about that for a second. Just so, giving people a bit of an insight of why you wanted to do it, etc., and what you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I am very excited, so don't worry about that. No, I guess I'll give like a little bit of a backstory. Is that okay? Like what?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Brought me to that. So as I began to position myself online and grow this online space, right, I had quickly realized that, my passion was in business. My passion was in helping others do what I have been able to do, not just once, but twice, right?
Yeah.
And I had been coaching for free without really realizing it, right. You become known as that person that did it and everyone wants to come to you. And I started to really lean into that and kind of let go of like, well, everyone I'm following is in nutrition or wellness,
right.
And I want to post what they're right? I kind of let go of that and really, once again, followed my intuition into that. So as I began online business coaching, helping other women start their wellness businesses, get into that area, I had actually developed a course and started going a lot more passive with my business. I found that, with this course, I was able to deliver the value that they needed while still being able to be a hands-on mom and do all the other. So as I felt this pull to kind of just step back this year and really focus more on, providing the value, educating in my groups, like getting that out there, I stepped back, but I started to really miss that connection that I had known my entire adult life, right? Like,
for sure.
People, like I want to talk to somebody and I want to help them and I want to really dig deep, right? Like that's what I miss is like that digging in and really doing the work. So that's what led me to CCI, and that's what led me to this new adventure of co-coaching, which I am forever grateful for, to be able to kind of fill my cup while helping with this incredible ripple effect that coaching does.
Awesome.
So excited.
Perfect. No, and just so, the people that are listening to this, if you want to go follow Kandice, because most people, they kind of follow all of our team members because they're kind of curious overall. What's the best place for them to kind of check you out? See, just follow you. I'm going to stop talking.
Come check me out.
Exactly. You have a partner.
Yeah, I do. No, happily taken. So come find me on Instagram at Kandice Lee Co. That's my handle. Yeah. So I love, everything in the wellness space. I do share a lot about my health and wellness journey in a nutshell, with stories, but I really love helping those women thrive.
Fun. Okay, great. Well, I want to end with one question, and then we'll tail off for the day. So it's kind of like a classic question that which is, what's one of the most helpful hack, tip, whatever tool it is that's helped you live life by design? What's like the juice of like, I went from default mode to creator mode? And I know usually for people it's more than one thing, but what's like one of your top or most helpful ones?
That's tricky.
I know.
Dang. Okay. Honest, like, to what helps me get into my creative zone? Is that something like what you mean?
It's similar, but like basically like, because a lot of people that I feel like, and I used to be the person who was just living life by default, kind of like where like you were working a 9 to 5 and you hated it and you didn't like it, or maybe it was from when your brick and mortar was kind of ending and you were like needing to like create something new.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like a lot of people are stuck in default. They're stuck in not creating the life even though they want to. So how do they go from wanting and not doing it to doing it actually?
Yeah, no, I do love that. Okay. I think for me, honestly, definitely not one thing, but one thing that's kept me on the path that I want to be on instead of, derailing, getting stuck, letting those defaults hold you back more so, is really allowing myself to be in my next level self. So allowing myself to accept what I want and really thrive with that, right? Feel what that feels like to be in and really connect with it. Honestly, like your intuition is so strong. I truly believe, at least. And because I'm a busy mom, I wake up 2 hours before my family, and that's like my mornings are everything. My phone's on airplane mode. I do a guided meditation. I'm doing my journaling. I'm really stepping into like, what do I want, right? What's good right now? Because there's always good right now, but what could be better? And for me, that's literally everything, because I could easily, like most moms, I'm sure could raise their hands, like you could let the day get away, right? And you could get stuck in like a trap of whatever types of thoughts are happening. But for me, it's always like, how can we make that next level self happen, right? Whatever.
I like that.
Whatever that next thing is that.
Yeah. No, and that's something like a couple people on the show have talked about stuff similar, whether it's like having a big enough like reason or purpose or a vision of where they want to go. And then some people have even talked about how like visualizing that and just getting into the feeling of like, no, I want to create this type of business. I want to create this kind of life for my family. I'm trying to visualize it and trying to feel it and trying to like, okay, I'm now like, I need to do the action to get there. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, perfect. No, I think that's a great tip. So anyways, well, Kandice, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, if you're watching this, if you enjoy this, you can obviously share it on your Instagram stories and tag me and Kandice. Go follow her. Just super excited for your journey and for working with us in CCI, and super excited for the crazy results you're going to get, all the clients that we're going to be working with. And we'll just take it one day at a time. So everyone, thanks for listening. And Kandice, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, bye for now, everybody.
Bye.